what Collector's Corner is basically we're just talking about collectibles. We do a lot of speculation. We've had quite a bit of traffic from the YouTube, especially where people have been talking to us about the whole sensation of the Impel Marvel trading cards. And we've been getting into comic books, toys, all that stuff. So as you can see right now, Dave has some comic book titles that he'd like to let you know about that possibly might be some good buys or some good flips there for those of you that like to speculate on that market.
Right. So on tonight's show, tonight's segment of the Collector's Corner, I have, as usual, I have some of a fun speculation pick, and then I have just some sort of, based on the topic that we're covering, great comics would be good to have in your collection. And ironically, one of these is kind of also turning in a little bit of a speculation thing. Again, speculation is just my opinion. But if you enjoy collecting comic books, these are some interesting ones to keep your eyes out for. I primarily try to focus on books that you can pick up relatively cheap. You're saying, what's relatively cheap, Dave? Well, $20, less than $20 is typically what I look at as a benchmark. Something that'd be worth purchasing, either possibly grading or possibly just purchasing and having your collection kind of long term. But again, these are just my opinions. And, they're just based off of things I'm reading, things I'm seeing. And they sometimes reflect things that I'm currently collecting or purchasing as well. Now, along these lines, the first one that I'm recommending for this evening, this is the speculation play. I've continued to talk about this. When the X-Men actually come to the MCU, I think Wolverine's going to have a second renaissance, as it were, unless for some crazy reason they decide to do something different and leave Wolverine out, which if they do that, that would be one of the stupidest things I think they could ever do. But aside from just letting Wolverine sit this whole round of X-Men movies out, which, like I said, is one of the stupidest things they could ever do, when they bring or hopefully introduce or bring back, Wolverine, introduce him into the MCU, obviously he's a popular character. I think his popularity is only going to continue to soar. And so the last two Collector's Corner segments, I've been talking about Uncanny X-Men books I think were definitely worth picking up. 212, 213. You've got a lot of firsts kind of in that run between 212 and 213. With Weapon X, this is a great storyline. Absolutely beautiful, breathtaking art by Barry Windsor Smith. Marvel Comics Presents was where they did a series of short stories. I highlighted issue 84 because it primarily totally focuses on Weapon X. And it has just an absolutely just stunningly beautiful cover. But what I'm recommending here is you actually take a look at picking up the entire Weapon X saga that ran in Marvel Comics Presents. I think any one of these issues is worth picking up. All these covers are iconic. To that end, I'm going to show this off here just real quick. To that end, this is my copy of Marvel Comics Presents 84, which is the one that we just saw in the graphic. But to show you how iconic these covers are, here is another cover from this series. I mean, just amazing. And Barry Windsor Smith is an absolutely incredible artist. This is actually issue 79. But I'm really recommending that people take a look at maybe trying to pick up actually this run because I really think these Weapon X books, I think they're a very interesting speculation play. And then number two, if you love Wolverine, if you love the X-Men, this is a great series just to have in your collection in general. Most of the Weapon X books, you can pick those up. Each issue typically under $20, sometimes even less than $10, and sometimes even less if you're watching on places like Mercari and eBay and such on and so forth. So I definitely want to recommend the Weapon X series from Marvel Comics Presents. I'm picking 84 because for me personally, it's my favorite cover of that run. Now, along those lines, the other two are based on a theme of tonight's show. We're talking about Zack Snyder's Justice League. So the next two books that I have picked actually for the Collector's Corner, I'm going to highly recommend that people take a look at and think about Batman 404 from 1987. This is my copy right here. I do own multiple copies of this book. I have a feeling that something interesting may be happening with this book long term. Just my personal feeling. But it is interesting because this book has actually started to go up in value. I did not pick this as a speculation play. But there are some people currently talking about this book and getting excited actually for the Pattinson Batman movie. I don't understand why. So I'm recommending this just because Batman is one of the key members of the Justice League. This is a very, very important pivotal book. Year One is such a fantastic series and story. So if you're just getting into comics and you haven't actually read it, I cannot recommend Batman Year One enough. Such a fantastic, fabulous story, beautifully drawn by David Mazzucchelli, great script and story by Frank Miller. Highly, highly recommend Batman Year One. And then the last book for this evening that I picked, again, because we're talking about Justice League, I have Justice League #1. This is the Grant Morrison Howard Porter run. What's interesting about this one is you have to read this particular story to really kind of get into it. But if you enjoy Martian Manhunter, if you quite like the character, the first story arc that happens in JLA in this particular series, you'll find particularly interesting. But this is my last kind of speculation pick book. This is another one you can pick up like in a lot with a lot of other books from the run, and it typically won't cost you too terribly much. I've seen these going for under $20 and even less on places like Mercari and eBay. You just got to kind of keep an eye out. But if you're a Justice League fan, this is a very well thought of and kind of enjoyed and beloved run among a certain segment of collectors. So I'm going to recommend that people check out JLA #1 from 1997. So again, our picks for this evening, we have basically I just removed that from the stream. Okay, so we have Marvel Comics Presents. I'm highlighting issue number 84, but I'm actually recommending the entire Weapon X run. This is from 1987. I'm also recommending Batman 404 from 1987, and I'm recommending JLA #1 from 1997. A lot
Now,
of
with
sevens in there.
the Batman title, did you mention how much that's been going for?
That's the irony. When I first picked this and was thinking about recommending this, I was seeing it go for $20 and even less. But it's kind of seems like it's been kind of ticking up a little bit. And right now it's running about 40.
Oh, wow.
I don't know why. I just thought that was kind of weird because I'm having a hard time finding it for less than 40. I'd been kind of picking up some extra copies here and there. I'm planning to submit an entire set of Batman Year One actually graded, and I want to have like some decent high graded copies. Now, high grade, I know a lot of people are all about the 9.8, 9.8, 9.8. I'm not talking about 9.8. I would just like to have some 9.4s and 9.6s and have a complete set graded, and then a complete set ungraded is what I'm trying to do. So I've been kind of picking them up, and then any extras I have left over, I might turn those in and get those graded, and then have those available for people like over on the Kirby Tees website or whatever, because we're starting to sell collectibles and such. So anyhow, these are just, like I said, I've been looking to pick up this particular book, and I wanted to highlight it because Batman's one of my favorite characters. He's an important part of this movie. But I just thought it was really interesting that I'm finding it hard to find a copy of 404 by itself for less than $40.
Yeah, Chris Roberts mentions, and I think he has a great point. He says might be because the Patterson Batman is supposed to be a Year One style story.
Could be.
And I think that's a great point. That's a great point because, I know it is supposed to be sort of like a Year One Batman kind of thing, although not specifically the origin. But that's my understanding of it. And then Lynn mentions that he got the Year One singles and hardback trade. Recently picked up many issues of the Gail Simone and Garcia Lopez JLA classified.
And you can never go wrong with Garcia Lopez. I think most people have heard me talk about how much I love Jose Luis Garcia Lopez's art. He's one of my heroes. I actually own an Atari Force page. It's actually above my drawing desk, which is actually behind me. Love Garcia Lopez. Never go wrong with anything that's Garcia Lopez. Doesn't matter what it is.
And then, Dave, did you have any update about your quest to get some of those Marvel trading cards graded, as far as how that's going, or if you decided on maybe which company to go with?
After talking to many people, it seems like it's best to just wait for PSA.
Just wait for PSA.
Just wait. So I guess that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to wait.
And their rates recently went up, correct?
They doubled.
They doubled.
They doubled. They
So
totally
they're
straight
backed
up
up,
doubled.
what, 9 months? Is that something that I heard? As much as
I'm
9 months?
hearing a year.
Wow. So
I'm
I guess
hearing like a year.
I guess for once I'm on the optimistic side.
Yeah. I basically what's going to happen is because I've been picking cards up, like for example for today, tonight's episode of the live show, we've got Impel original, we got Doc Ock and the Lizard. We're giving these away again to someone tonight. We're just going to throw names in a hat, so someone's going to win basically these two cards, and then the other person is going to win that Justice League book we were talking about earlier. So we have some books to give away here on the show. Not books. We have some cards to give away here on the show. I had intended and hoped to, kind of start getting stuff graded and actually give away graded cards on the show. But let's be honest, folks, it's not happening for a year.
Yeah.
So there's no point in continuing to imagining something magical is going to happen. I'm going to open a box. Woo! Like it's not going to happen anytime soon. So I'm just going to start giving away the extra cards that I have. And then the ones that I'm keeping for myself, I will show everyone this. Why don't you just kind of vamp here for a second? I will show everyone this real quick.
Well, Chris mentioned that they doubled both the price and the wait time due to the number of people trying to get so many different items graded. And yeah, I had heard that about PSA, Chris, that their rates had gone up, and obviously there's very high demand right now to get different cards graded, especially the Marvel Impel cards. That's become a phenomenon. The one thing I've also heard a lot of a buzz about is the Garbage Pail Kids cards. The Garbage Pail Kid cards are starting to be very sought after, especially Series 1 of Garbage Pail Kids. And that's something I actually did collect as a kid. And I'm trying to figure out if I still have any of those.
Now, here's my interesting thing that I did pick up that relates to my Impel cards. I've been looking for something fun to put them in, and I found on Mercari this vintage Fantastic Four binder.
Oh, nice. That's awesome.
It's got the Fantastic Four name on the side. It's got all this really cool, like Fantastic Four
cool
artwork.
That's awesome.
So my Marvel cards, my main ones I'm keeping, they now live in this. So let's see here. Like here's, I gotta get, because like I said before, like I tend to do sheets of characters, but like for example, here's a bunch of my Impel cards right here. There's Cosmic Spider-Man and Nick Fury, Daredevil, the Hulk. But yeah, they now live in this vintage Fantastic Four binder that I found. That this is now where my premier Impel, Marvel, and my character cards, they're in here. But like I said before, like I've got a whole page just dedicated to Rogue. Actually, I've got a bunch of pages dedicated to Rogue. I think I mentioned that one episode, like I have every single Rogue card ever made. That's not a joke. Here's some of my ancillary favorites. There's Moon Knight. There's a lot of Namor the Submariner. So yeah. But yeah, they now live in this vintage Fantastic Four binder. So
I dare say that's fantastic. That's awesome binder.
That's a good one.
Chris also mentions Pokemon is another huge boom to their time, and yeah, I keep hearing about Pokemon. I've been getting more into actually different channels. One that I really like is called Reserved Investments. I really like him because he's kind of like the cynical collector guy, and I'm kind of a cynical guy, so I gravitate towards that.
you would like the cynical collector guy.
Yeah, but he has a lot of great knowledge, and I didn't realize. Because I only recently started really getting into him. I was just looking at some of his Marvel Impel stuff, but now I'm starting to look at his other content. And he started out with video games. I don't know if you knew that, but that's how he started out. And now he's also very traditional. So he does like coins, antiques, but he started out flipping video games like Atari and stuff like that.
That's interesting.
Which I thought was really interesting.
The guy who I'm enjoying on YouTube the most right now is actually the Northeast Ohio sports guy. And it's interesting to see his perspective because he's looking at the trading card angle basically from, someone who's been primarily a sports card collector.
Sports guy, yeah.
Yeah, and it's interesting to see his perspective. And he actually broke a box on his show, pulled some cards out of there to get graded, paid the extra fees to get them graded at PSA, and actually made a couple bucks at the end of the day, which was pretty impressive.
That is impressive. That's pretty awesome.